Myostatin-related muscle hypertrophy. This disorder is sometimes referred to as superhuman strength. Imagine a child is born and within months, it becomes apparent they are extraordinarily muscular. As a toddler, they have the defined physique of a professional athlete. This is not the result of weightlifting, but a genetic mutation. That mutation starts in the MSTN gene, which produces a protein called myostatin. Myostatin is active in muscles used for movement, both before and after birth. Myostatin's job is to limit muscle growth, ensuring that muscles do not grow too large. In these individuals, the production of myostatin is reduced and leads to an overgrowth in muscle tissue. Their bodies build muscle rapidly and with far less effort than an average person. From a young age, they possess strength far beyond their peers, able to perform feats that seem impossible for their size. However, the superpower could be a double-edged sword. The extreme muscle mass can put immense strain on joints and tendons, potentially leading to injuries or chronic pain. Highly superior autobiographical memory. For most people, remembering every little detail about the things you've done over years is nearly impossible. For someone with highly superior autobiographical memory, or HSAM for short, having great memory is by far their superpower. HSAM is characterized as the ability to remember an extensive number of life experiences in vivid detail. Individuals with HSAM can recall specific dates and events, often with remarkable precision, including what they felt, saw, and even smelled during those moments. Imagine a date is mentioned, say, April 23, 2012, and their mind doesn't just recall a general feeling. It floods with specifics. The weather that day, what they wore, the headlines in the paper, conversations word for word, and the song playing on the car radio. They don't choose to remember, they simply cannot forget the personal details of their own life past a certain age. First studied extensively in a woman referred to as AJ, and later in others, the condition is extremely rare, with fewer than 100 documented cases worldwide. It tends to start during late childhood, often between the ages of 10 to 12, although a person may not realize that their memory is exceptional until adulthood. Research indicates that individuals with HSAM often spend a significant amount of time reflecting on their past, which may contribute to their ability to recall detailed memories. While the cause of HSAM is poorly understood, there is strong evidence that it is related to differences in brain structure, most specifically, a part of the brain known as the right amygdala, which is tasked with declarative memory, meaning the facts and information from previously experienced events that are consciously recalled. It also connects memories with emotions and sensations, like smell, sight, and taste, making them more vivid. Although having superhuman memory may seem like a great superpower, it also has its drawbacks. This includes mental exhaustion, as even mentioning a date or thinking about a date can cause immediate distraction. This can interfere with daily tasks and lead to mental clutter and exhaustion. Another drawback is reliving trauma, as both good and bad memories are retained in people with HSAM. Therefore, if a traumatic event is experienced, a person cannot selectively distract themselves from the memory and may end up reliving the traumatic emotion again and again. This can make people with HSAM feel trapped in their memories, increasing the risk of anxiety and depression. Fatal familial insomnia. Imagine having the superpower of never sleeping again. A person with fatal familial insomnia has just that. Fatal familial insomnia, or FFI for short, is a rare genetic disorder that affects the thalamus, the part of the brain that controls the sleep-wake cycle. It is very rare and affects an estimated 1 to 2 people out of every 1 million. Since FFI is genetic, there are approximately 50 to 70 families worldwide who carry the mutation that causes the condition. The downside of this superpower is night by night, the ability to achieve deep, restorative sleep erodes. Over months, the complete lack of sleep becomes a living nightmare. The person experiences panic attacks, paranoia, and profound physical deterioration. They sweat profusely, their pupils constrict, and they may enact vivid dreams while seemingly awake. Hallucinations start to kick in as their muscles begin to twitch uncontrollably. The body and mind waste away from sheer exhaustion. Death from total sleep deprivation typically occurs within 6 to 36 months. There is no cure for fatal familial insomnia. Studies are ongoing to find treatment options to reduce the progression of symptoms and extend the life of people diagnosed with this condition. Congenital insensitivity to pain. A person with congenital insensitivity to pain disorder, or CIP for short, has the ability to never feel pain. This is because of mutations in genes SCN9A and NTRK1. These mutations disrupt the normal functioning of sodium channels in nociceptors, preventing them from transmitting pain signals to the brain. The condition is typically inherited in an autosomal recessive manner, meaning that a child must inherit 2 copies of the mutated gene to exhibit symptoms. From the outside, it seems like a superpower. But in reality, it is a profoundly dangerous condition. Pain is the body's essential alarm system. Without it, injuries go unnoticed and untreated. Children with CIP suffer from untreated fractures, severe burns, and life-threatening infections because they feel no warning signal. They must be constantly monitored for cuts, bruises, and signs of illness they cannot feel. Many do not live to adulthood due to accumulated, unnoticed trauma. Hyperacusis. Hyperacusis is a rare hearing disorder where sounds others perceive as normal seem uncomfortably and often unbearably loud. It's also described as decreased sound tolerance. People with normal hearing experience a range of sounds with varying degrees of loudness. In contrast, people with hyperacusis experience sound in general with the volume turned too high. The crinkle of a chip bag can sound like tearing metal. Running tap water is a roaring waterfall. A normal conversation is an overwhelming shout. The experience can take a toll on their mental health, causing anxiety, depression, relationship issues, and social isolation and avoidance. Hyperacusis often accompanies tinnitus, a condition often associated with hearing loss that involves ringing, whistling, clicking, or roaring sounds in your ears, but not all cases of hyperacusis involve tinnitus or hearing loss. Researchers are still trying to understand what causes hyperacusis. It's likely that the structures in your brain that control how you perceive stimulation make sounds seem louder. Synesthesia. Synesthesia is a phenomenon that causes sensory crossovers, such as tasting colors or feeling sounds. Some people describe it as having wires crossed in their brain because it activates two or more senses when there's only a reason for one sense to activate. A person might not just hear music, but see it as cascading colors and shapes with each note. Tasting a specific flavor, like mint, might be felt as a cool, smooth sphere in their hands. To understand synesthesia, it helps to understand how your senses work. Your brain relies on your 5 main senses: sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch to know what's happening around you. That involves detection, signaling, and then processing. Your senses describe to your brain what they pick up, and your brain creates its own understanding of the world around you from those descriptions. But people with synesthesia experience the processing step differently. Their brains process the same information through 2 or more brain areas at once. That causes a primary and at least one secondary effect. The primary effect is what you experience because of sensory input. An example of this would be hearing sounds and recognizing them as music. The secondary effect seems like it's one of their senses working, but there's no input from that sense that should be causing it. An example of this would be seeing colors because you hear music. Experts don't fully understand why synesthesia happens, but they do know there are 3 main types of it, which is developmental, acquired, and drug-induced synesthesia. Supertaster Genetics. Imagine taking a bite of a broccoli floret and being hit with an intensely bitter, almost chemical assault. For a supertaster, this is reality. A supertaster perceives some or all flavors more intensely than others. They may have more or stronger taste buds than the average person, and tend to be especially sensitive to bitter foods. In some cases, a supertaster can detect flavors that others can't pick up at all. While being a supertaster may seem like a gourmet's dream, it's not all fun. Healthy vegetables like dark leafy greens or Brussels sprouts normally taste bitter, so a supertaster may add cheese or a lot of salt to mask the taste. Or they may avoid vegetables altogether, which could lead to nutrients deficiencies. Supertasters that drink coffee may use a lot more sugar and creamer than the average person to make the taste more palatable. Sweet flavors can be cloying, and fats can feel overly rich and creamy. This can lead to nutritional challenges and a severely limited diet. Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome. Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome, or EDS, is a genetic condition that weakens your body's connective tissue. It commonly affects your skin and joints. A person with the hypermobile type of Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome, EDS, might be able to stretch their skin far from their body, contort their joints into extreme positions, or perform party tricks like bending their thumb to their wrist. Their skin may be velvety soft and unusually stretchy. This is because their body produces weak collagen, which is the protein that acts as the glue and reinforcement for skin, joints, and blood vessels. This superpower of flexibility comes with immense downsides. The same faulty collagen leads to chronic joint pain, frequent dislocations, fragile skin that tears and bruises easily, poor wound healing, and debilitating fatigue. Internal organs and blood vessels can also be weak and prone to rupture. You might have trouble controlling your pee or poop. You'll also have a higher risk of hernias if the connective tissue around your muscles isn't as strong as it should be. There is no cure for EDS. Experts have identified more than 20 different genetic changes that can cause EDS. They all affect your body's ability to produce collagen. Which specific genetic change you have determines which type you'll develop and where it will affect you.